Welcome back to the PC Flipping series, where we try to build and sell PCs anywhere from $500 budget builds all the way to more capable $1,000 builds. If you have been following along, you know that the summer has been a really hard time to sell. So as a lot of the builds have taken a lot longer to sell than usual, I thought maybe we need to start going away from the usual fish tank cases that we use, or maybe even some of the more classic tower cases that we've been going for, and try something a little more unique. So I spent some time on Newegg looking for a more unique look in a different case, and bam, this is what I found. I had never seen an infinity mirror build before, and only for $60 post-tax, this GameMax Abyss mini case was hard to pass up. Let's start with the obvious. This beautiful front panel that is a gorgeous looking infinity mirror. Infinity mirror meaning, it looks like it just keeps going in. It looks 3D instead of the 2D, kind of the flat surfaced lighting that it might have. It's a really unique case, and it complements it with a 120mm ARGB fan at the back, which is really, really pretty, and it's very different from the Thermalright fans that we use. Unfortunately, that's all that it comes with, so I decided to throw in a couple Thermalright fans in the back to kind of make it seem like the rainbow effect continues. But anyway, it's a pretty compact mATX case. Has okay amount of cable management in the back, not that much, so I wouldn't necessarily go for a huge build here. Nice little panel with the logo in the back, which is kind of cool. Comes with this hub that gives you access to some good fan options and some of the ARGB, which is a really nice in a kind of a budget case like this. Nice little handle to grab and take the front panel off. Overall, honestly, just looks good and fairly good build quality. Since I'd been having trouble selling PCs recently, go check out the last couple episodes for that. And a lot of my views just weren't getting the attention and the clicks that I thought they should be or they were previously. I thought maybe a unique case like this would help me get the hundreds of clicks that I needed and really make me stand out against my competition, because let's face it, no one locally is building in a case like this. I wasn't 100% sure of what sort of parts to put in a PC case like this. I went back and forth between thinking, should it be a budget build so I can keep the cost low, or do I put higher end parts because this is such a unique case? Well, after some research, I found out that this case doesn't actually have great thermals, so I figured at that point I need to throw in some budget parts that aren't too beefy, that aren't gonna, heat it up too much in there. So here are the specs that I ended up going with. For the CPU, we got a Ryzen 5 2600. It's a nice little budget CPU. I knew overall, since we had to keep the thermals down and most likely keep the price down of this build, I didn't want to put anything too beefy in there, that we wanted to, keep the parts pretty budget. And if you have been following along, one of the most budget CPUs that I use in this channel is the Ryzen 2600, so I figured that would work really good with the stock cooler in there. Throw that on the ASRock B450M ACR 2.0 that we always use in this channel, since it's pretty cheap. It has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth, and that's something I try to always provide to my clients. I try to never be one of those guys that says, oh, for $5 more I can include a USB Wi-Fi adapter. No, it's just more professional to go ahead and say that all this is already included. For the storage, since it is a budget build, we're just doing a 500 gigabyte M.2. This is the MSI Spatium. Again, I usually tend to go for 1 terabyte minimum these days, but for some of these lower end builds, it's 500 gigs is definitely doable, especially if people are, just wanting to play Minecraft or Fortnite or something in these rigs. For the RAM, we just got a basic pair of Corsair Vengeance LPX 16 gigs, DDR4 clocked at 3200 megahertz. The PSU is the MSI A550BN. We use this one all the time. We don't need anything more than this really in this build, so it's cheap, gets the job done, and it will be perfect for the GPU in this case, which is the GTX 1080. I thought the GTX 1080 would pair pretty well with the 2600, because as old as it might be, 1080, you see videos on this on YouTube all the time. It still performs, honestly, really well in this day and age. And again, since we are going for a more of a budget entry-level rig with this build, I think a 1080 way more than punches above its class. You can easily play games like Fortnite or Roblox or whatever that these entry-level gamers might want to play. And as I mentioned before, we threw on a couple Thermalright fans in the back right behind the infinity mirror to kind of keep that illusion of the rainbow and the infinity mirror going, which I really liked, and help a little bit with temperatures, honestly, but mostly for the aesthetics at this point. I wanted to see how this unique case would sell on the marketplace, so I set the price at $600. I know, it's rather high for the extremely budget parts that are inside of it, but I really wanted to see if such a unique case would really make a big difference in a sale price like this. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments if you think performance or aesthetics matter more when it comes to selling PCs. And the summer slowness hit again. This guy sat on Facebook Marketplace for way too long. There were stretches where it wouldn't get like barely 10 views at a time, which I don't know if you guys have been experiencing this over the summer. I don't know if I've been shadow banned or if the algorithm is kind of being weird or it's just not, or if the summer is just a horrible time to sell a PC, but whereas before my listings would get 2,000 to 3,000 views per listing, now they're getting like 50 to 100 max. Something's not adding up. It's been about a month of this PC now, just sitting out there in the wild. Lower the price to $540 now, which would make it my lowest profit ever at $100. And it's, you know, I don't usually suggest people flip for just $100, but anyway, I just need to get it out of my hands. But it's just been awfully quiet out there. I don't know what it is. I'm gonna try to delete and relist one more time. I usually try to lower the price like directly in the listing first, and then after about a couple of weeks of the listing, I try to delete, relist, and just try that over and over again. So hopefully it'll sell this time. And it sold! Or did it? Well, yes, it did. But before we get to that, let me show you a quick behind the scenes on how I'm able to build so many PCs at once. In a lot of my shorts and my reels, you can see that I have a ton of cases behind me a lot of the time. So here's a usual unboxing of stuff that I've received. A lot of you guys have been wondering what the heck all those piles of parts behind me are. Now, as we head into, as you can see, all of these boxes of Prime and eBay and Newegg and whatnot, a big disclaimer I'll make is you should never buy this many things at the same time. I only do this because I'm a serial flipper. Really, I'm just kind of doing this more for the content, but just don't do this. Take your time. Only go 1 to 2 builds at a time is what I suggest. So first off, we got a Ryzen 4500 that I grabbed locally for $40. It's not one of my favorite CPUs, but for this price, I'll definitely take it. Next up, in this beautifully packaged USPS box, we have, what is that? Is that a candle? It smells pretty good. It's okay. I got 2 pair of Ryzen 5 5600Gs on eBay, which it's not something I usually go for, but for the price, I could not say no. But the guy sent them each individually wrapped in one of these meltable wax candle box things, so they smell good, but guess what, buddy? There's wax all over my CPUs. I got to love how different eBay people, but I got these for $86.40 each, so you know, can't complain there. Next up, we got, you guessed it, an RX 5700 XT. We go for these guys all the time, really, in this channel, and this XFX big, fat, thick, whatever model is actually, I've used quite a few of these, but this one I got for $129.73. In this package, which doesn't let you at all what it is, we have a B450M. Try not to buy used motherboards. It's usually not the best thing to do, but usually too much can go wrong. You know, you can refer back to this video as to why I say that. But I got this one for a really good deal for $56 post-tax, so thought I'd go for it. Next up, power supplies. Yet another thing I don't usually suggest you get used. It's usually one of the few parts that you should definitely get new. But I found this Corsair RM1000X for $75.60 post-tax, post-shipping. So I just could not pass it up. Also, it's from a reputable seller. I've bought from them many times before, so I knew I could trust them with this one, and they have a good return policy, and I know I'd taste it immediately. For $75, $1,000 PSU for a future higher build, I just could not pass this one up. Next up, we got, what's in this one? Another motherboard, but this one is an Asus TUF X570. I usually never go for these higher end motherboards. I mean, this is not even that high end, honestly, but we mostly go for the B450. So I saw this one for $84.40 post-tax, and a beautiful 570 motherboard like this for that price I thought was a good deal. Next up, a Ryzen 5600. I've been building a lot of the 5600s recently, so I just needed another one on hand. Got this one for $96.88. Which, if you can score this CPU for less than $100, I think it's a pretty good deal. It's not as incredible anymore as time goes on, but it's still pretty good. Last but not least, 4 power supplies. Again, talking about not buying used power supplies. I got this because I saw a seller had these listed, and I reached out and I said, hey, would you give me a good bulk deal on all of them? And, you know, asked him if he could send me proof that they work. So we messaged back and forth, and he gave these to me for $43.20 each post-tax, which high power and channel wall technologies, I've used these ones before. I trust the brand. The guy seemed trustworthy. Again, had a good return policy, and $43. Oh, and these are 750 watts. And usually we go for those MSI 550 watt ones, which are about $50. So to get these cheaper at 200 more watts, I thought couldn't pass this up. All right, here we go, friends. Someone finally reached out to buy this PC. One of my best friends was in town over the weekend when I was selling this PC, so he wanted to tag along and see what the sales process was like, how I conducted, business, and how I conducted myself with the client and all of that stuff, and maybe help film the client as well so we could put it in the video. Unfortunately, when we got there, the guy that was buying the PC didn't want to be filmed. So my friend had the great idea of reenacting the scene essentially for you to get an idea of what a usual client sale experience looks like. The overall cost was $441.67, and sell price was $540, and net profit was $98.33. So lower than we usually get, much lower. It's actually the lowest I've ever had, but that happens sometimes. Okay, what's next? Well, if you've been watching the last couple episodes, I keep alluding to how horrible the summer has been, so let's finally deal with that and get to the bottom of it as the summer ends. If you got to the end of the video, go ahead and type fish tank at the bottom of the video, and I appreciate you. Thanks for watching.